Need to get a candle and light some things because you got lighting, happening.
Hey folks, it's Missy here, and this is still an experiment. We're still working on it, so here we go. Still working on bringing my old show back. So this is Welcome to Galactic Earth Fusion Mission Upgrade, okay? The show that discusses the normal, the paranormal, the natural, the supernatural, the organic to know the inorganic, the weird, the wonderful, all things outrageous, strange, upbeat, and cutting edge, broadcasting to you live from the land of Psionic Kitty, and preparing tomorrow for the conference called Summer Days with Gina Virginia Casella. That starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll be a speaker there along with Julia Ankerhaven and Soma Ra. And let's see who else. Sheila. And I know I'm forgetting people, but and Jason will be helping us behind the scenes, and Michael Koff will be helping us behind the scenes. Laura Ferguson will be playing music. I think I got everybody in that. And they like Psionic Kitty. And a little bit about Ariell, Chloe, Ariell, sorry about that. I know
That's
you're
okay.
a clairvoyant and you're a healer, and you channel the Cosmic Collective, and you do all this cool stuff. Maybe you'll even channel this crystal skull. And I got a story about this skull. This
Right.
crystal skull is named Esmeralda, and she came in
Okay.
around the same time that Joshua Shapiro and Katrina got their skull with the detachable jaw that has the name Rosalita. And I was one of the three people that intuited that name, because when Katrina said, "What do you think of this crystal skull, what its name should be?" I got Rosalita. And what's special about that skull is the fact that it's very similar to Bill Holman's Mitchell Hedges skull, which Katrina got the name Estrella. That was the feminine version of that skull. So anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Missy. What a lovely intro. So I have a show called Whimsical Wednesdays on YouTube, but I'm just restarting, rebuilding that from the desecration that happened to it. So that what I usually do or did before was do lives and telepath. But I don't know, something's going on with the lives, but I'm hoping to get that back up and going, however that looks. And I'm interviewing people, like Joshua came on the show the other day. So yeah, it's just about using my skill set and, hoping people will come in for healings. And I do oracle readings on Rob's show. So it's funny, like we're all a community, aren't we? Like we all know each other. I don't know what I think we're kind of like, I feel like disclosure and psionics and all of that is like trying to show the human capabilities of our superhuman capabilities are just normal, don't you think? We're normalizing it.
I totally agree with that, and this is cool. I mean, I just felt a resonance ever since that you went and hung out with Tennessee Kentucky Bigfoot, and you guys went to that Lost Sea, because we got dots that connect and things to share that go back and forth. But because today was the day, even though I don't think these are the good guys, I have to show the shirt.
Oh yeah, right.
I'll be wearing this shirt.
It's purple. It's not so much gray, but it's purple. All right.
I'll be wearing the shirt for the next couple days. Not tomorrow for Gina's thing, but I'll have to wear it on Sunday because I'm going to Disclosure Day, and then I have to wear it on Monday because I'll be with Rob and we have to talk about it. So I don't know if you have any interest in seeing it.
I love it. I think it's beautiful. Like there's so many beings that are bipedal that have that shape in our reality, in our galaxy. From my experience with telepathy, and it's a purple color, that one. The ones that work with our gov are like obviously gray looking, and some of them have quite translucent. Talk about that.
Exactly. But are you going to see that movie? Do you have any interest in seeing that movie? I do, for
Oh,
breaking it down for.
I don't know. I just my feeling is like I'll get annoyed with it. So I haven't like, and I from all the feedback that I'm seeing about it, it's obviously correct. So it's going to be in line with, whatever agenda that they want with the four species that they're like disclosing that have been working with our government. Apparently, there's only four
Oh
species.
yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Isn't that
Oh my
hilarious?
god. Oh my god, how stupid they must think. People are so dumb, and that I think the human population is much more awake than a certain percentage of some very small percentage give us credit for. They just want to suppress and limit our reality, obviously. But when you go to like indigenous cultures, they've been have had dealings with extraterrestrials for like millennia, and generational, like intergenerational connections, like I want to bring that up, like with the Bigfoots. Even like you will find that
Exactly.
in the South, from my experience, that there is intergenerational connections with the Bigfoot, right? Which is what I experienced with Tennessee, Kentucky, and Matt and Tim, right? Their family, they have a very long connection. And I've told them that we're on today. I don't know if they're there. Hi,
Oh yeah,
guys.
TKB. He's in the house. I saw him. Um,
Cool.
yeah, I want to get to that, but first of all, I want to show where you are. Whether you believe
Yeah.
we're on a flat Earth, a donut, a globe, Russian doll.
Yeah,
It can be
that's
anything. A
right.
pancake. It doesn't matter what it is.
Pancake, holographic simulation in the
Whatever,
Star Trek
whatever. But
module.
but
Yeah, yeah.
you're in the state of
Love it.
Queensland in Brisbane. Is that correct?
Yes, in
So if you
Brisbane.
follow that ley
Yeah.
line all the way around, it kind of ends up in Chile, and then if you go north from that ley line, seems to end up in New York. So yeah. I
Um,
also have my dirt from Uluru,
oh,
which came
Uluru,
from
yeah.
Joshua Shapiro on one of his previous trips. I mean, he doesn't remember giving it to me, but it was actually Katrina who got it from him
Yeah.
that gave it to me. And I have my
Wow.
rock, and I know he's going back in November, and he's actually going to be on my show on Monday. I felt
Oh,
there's something
wow.
about connecting these dots and connecting with Australia, because I know some other
Yeah.
people that will be listening. I mean, I feel like something is happening because of this movie. I mean, it's not the movie per se, but in
Yeah.
spite of the movie, there's some activation going on. Whatever it is,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure yet, but there's a momentum. And finally, some of us that, lost things that we have to rebuild, now's the time. It feels like there's a push and
Yeah.
a momentum. Here's my
I
rock
feel it.
from.
I feel that too. I 100% feel that momentum. I agree with that. Yeah, what were you saying?
Did you go to Valley of Fire
I
by
think
any chance? Because you said you went to Las Vegas, right?
yes.
Okay. I don't know if you got to Valley of Fire. So I want to hear every detail about this trip, this grid working trip to America, how long you were in America, and what
Oh
you
no,
did.
it was supposed to be like secret. But it's not, obviously. They're grid working. It's if you're gonna go to places, it's gonna happen. Um but yeah, grid work happened. I didn't realize it was gonna happen. But when I went to Hawaii, literally I only knew like 24 hours, 48 hours before it happened that I was going to go there. It was like, bang, you're going to go, you're selling your car, and you're going to book something, and then you're going to go. I know how crazy that sounds, but I go with spirit.
So did you go
That
with Journey to Truth then? Did you do that thing?
Yeah, I did. I went there. That was kind of like the door opening to go there
Okay.
and go to Hawaii. But there's obviously multi layers of why you go to places. Like you're interested in grid
Right.
work because you do grid work yourself, right?
Right.
But I kind of had it in the back of my head, whether it was going to happen or not. But then I was just told when I was walking around Mount Kilauea, and Jason was with me. I think you probably heard that in another show. Then I was told, take your shoes off. So I was like, I looked down, it's like really hard, sharp stones around the volcano, and I'm thinking, take my shoes off. And I went, well, gotta listen. And there's like a tree and there's some roots. So I sort of went on top of the roots and took my shoes off. And then it was just like all this energy came in. And the same with Jason, and he felt it. And there was someone else with us, right? And then it was this energy. that just went all the way through and down into the volcano. And then we had these in spirit, these Polynesian women coming forward. And I feel like it was to connect to Sophia or divine
Oh, wow.
cosmic connections. Yeah, it was like a Sophia activation. Like we've got the Christos, but we need the balance in this planet of the masculine and feminine. So it was about bringing that into the volcano. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just say I'm just a conduit. I'm just one part of the jigsaw puzzle piece. And then it's just to remove some dark energies from that volcano energy and just go into the grid lines. And then I did Mount Shasta. I went specifically to Mount Shasta to do that. I only could stay a day, 2 days maximum in Mount Shasta because I had, well, I've got stories. I suppose you're like, you just picked up on it. You're like, there's some stories around the grid work, bang on, I swear, sister. So I went to Mount Shasta and I was on my way to go up to the mountain and it was just like everything just started going wrong. It was weird things where like entities jumping through people and telling
Oh,
me,
wow.
don't go beyond the tree line. There's something dangerous there. And I was like, that's a weird thing to say. And then that was the bus driver and he just wouldn't leave me alone. And it was like this dark feeling. And I was like, oh, and then these other people was just multiple people. And even when I went to the motel, I was like, I'm in danger. It felt like human trafficking, and they were like
Oh, my
conspiring to like somehow kidnap me. It was full on energy, right? And I was like, whoa, I didn't expect this, but it's the dark, I realized, trying to stop me. So I reached out to the lady I was going to stay at the Airbnb with, but I couldn't stay there for a couple of days for some reason. But I ended up asking her, please, I've just got to be in and out. And anyway, her place was absolutely perfect. And apparently, I wrote on the text message, help me. I don't remember writing that. Help. But it appealed to her higher self, and her husband actually was a Native American man, actually quite well known in the area. Bobby, his name was, right? So he came through in spirit, her husband, and he was like a protector of that mountain and the land. It turns out I didn't know. And then she took me up to the perfect spot, Bunny Flat on the bottom of Mount Shasta, and took me to this sacred site. And it was like incredible. All the spirits of the land were there. It was like she could feel it. I could feel it. There was like this staff underneath the ice. I go from Hawaii to the ice. Mount
Wow.
Shasta, like the ice is just, starting to melt. And then we walk, there's this staff on the
Fire and
ground.
ice.
There's this staff on the ground. Yeah, fire and ice. It kind of had that too, obviously. And then pulled up the staff. There's a Merlin on the staff. That's
Oh,
very
wow.
special to me because the mountain kind of answered and gave me this staff for protection and something. And then we did this ceremony to all the four corners, and it was incredible energy. And whatever that meant and however it did it, but it felt the same sort of thing, like Sophia and Christos kind of thing, and as soon
That's
as that
so
happened,
cool.
yeah, I was getting, they were actively trying to stop me through people, and it was full on. And it was just like, I'm just going to be here 24 hours. And it felt that like I had to just be there and then leave. You know, do the activation, then
Did you
leave.
get to Lake Shasta? Because I do love the lake too. It felt like a reservoir to me. That there was things
Yes.
going on inside the water. The water actually
Yeah.
felt clearer to me than the mountain itself. So
Well, actually, they say that spring there is the source of all the water that comes out
it
of the
is, yeah.
mountain. I can't remember if it's the beginning of is it Colorado? I can't
I
remember.
can't
Sorry.
remember that either, but I think it's really important as a water
Yeah,
reservoir
it is.
for the people there. But what's interesting is
It's a
some
natural
grid work I
spring.
did
Yeah.
years ago on July 4th. It connects on the ley line over to New York where the Statue of Liberty was. And I saw that the Statue
Ah,
of Liberty was actually trying to siphon the energy from that Lake Shasta. It was very strange. And then there was stuff that
yeah.
happened with the Statue of Liberty, all those memes. Remember, Statue of
Right.
Liberty's going down to Florida, smoking a doobie and running down to Florida. You remember those memes a couple of years ago?
I don't
I'm
know.
leaving New
Can't,
York after what happened in New York. So yeah.
yeah, well, you think about New York is at the height of Wall Street, the money capital center of, trading and all of that consumerism, the height of Babylon. It
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if it's siphoning into a natural place like Mount Shasta, which is in the positive. And you can
Yes.
feel it when you're there. Everyone has amazing experiences. Saint Germain, or whatever you want to put on it, the connection to your galactics. There's purple light. I could feel the energy was really like powerful at the top there. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's sort of grid lines going in and trying to siphon off that, because it's out of balance. So it
Exactly.
has to kind of siphon to survive or something. I'm not quite
And
sure,
we're
but
doing work
yeah,
because
there was work done there.
I'm
And then I
starting
went
to
to the Grand Canyon as well.
oh
Grand
yeah.
Canyon.
My nose is starting to sweat. I know we're doing grid work just talking about it because I've been to all
Really?
these places when I was an over the road truck driver. That's why I wanted to have
Right.
you on because I haven't been out west in quite a while, but I link in with it. So when you talk about the Grand Canyon, that's probably, you said you went to Vegas. So you probably did the South Rim and then you went over to like Williams and Flagstaff, Arizona and Sedona, I guess, which would
Well,
be.
I probably did them all in a chunky order of things. I
Did
didn't
you
want to sort of.
drive? Were you driving?
No, no, I just flew. I went to Sedona, I went to an Airbnb, and then I went to, I think, yeah,
So
I
you
went to the
flew from
Grand.
Shasta to Sedona, I guess.
I think so, yeah,
And
Grand
Las
Canyon.
Vegas must have been on the way out then when you
On
left.
the way out, I went on the way out. I
Okay,
went
so
back
we'll
to the
talk about
desert.
that on the way out. But
Yeah.
when we did the over the road, we would go from Vegas, and then there's some weird things in that area. I mean, well, there's a beautiful thing called Ash Springs that I talked about recently, where it's like a hot springs where we happened upon it and drove the truck there, and just it was like at a like a little what do you, I don't know if you like a gas station 7-Eleven kind of a thing
Yeah.
where convenience store, and we
Yeah.
parked the truck there and we found this hot springs and we just went swimming in it, and just
Wow.
sat in the water. But now according to Department of Natural Resources, they've since closed it, but if I get out there I'm going in it anyway. So
It's interesting, isn't it, how all these natural places are getting closed? Because it's not just in America, it's in Australia as well. Like trails that you be able to walk on, they're closing them down because they don't want people connecting into the natural world, because they think and feel, and they're probably right, that people are getting activated by the natural world. They're hearing the trees, like what happened to me. I started hearing the trees talk in 2020 when I went for walks, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. But and like, I swear to God, like after I did a few telepathies in that forest in Melbourne, this big storm came and knocked down all the trees that I was talking to. So I was like, whoa, this is next level. Like, there is that schism between technology and nature. It is,
and
you
they'll
know?
charge a lot of money because like when I go to right now I'm in South Carolina, so I'm on the coast of South Carolina in a place called Edisto Island, which is south of Charleston. And what's interesting about Charleston, South Carolina, is where the first shots of this American Civil War were fired at Fort Sumter. Okay. So, and
Wow.
then North Carolina didn't want anything to do with it. So, and one time the Carolinas were one. It wasn't divided into North and South Carolina. So there's a polarization with
Mm,
that, with the fact also the Cherokee removal when Andrew
yeah.
Jackson, removed the Cherokee from North Carolina out to Oklahoma. These are some of the things I'm going to bring in the meditation I'm doing at the Summer Days Conference tomorrow. So
Great.
yeah, now they charge to go in that hot spring, and since the pandemic, they haven't wanted you to fill up and drink the water. I could sneak and do it anyway because in the bathroom it's actually the same water, but they think, oh, there's bacteria in the water and we don't want you to get sick. Yeah, right.
My God, getting water straight from the source is the most amazing thing. Everyone knows about how water holds memories. There's the water spirits, and You know, maybe there's some activation. Guys, get to sources of water.
Exactly. Yes.
You know?
So when I went to Sedona years ago, there was a body of water before we went into Sedona. So it's interesting about Arizona. I don't know how far south you got, but if
Yeah.
you travel the whole state of Arizona, the topographical, the terrain, it's so different because you can go down by the Mexican border in
Yeah.
Tucson and Phoenix, and it can be, say, 120 degrees in the summertime, and
Yeah.
totally different with saguaro cactuses. Can keep going north. There's actually a sundial headed north as you go up there, and then you go up to Sedona. And if you continue on from Sedona, if you go up to Flagstaff, that's like high desert, which is a totally different kind of terrain and different trees. But when we were over the
Yeah.
road, we actually found this body of water. It was like too small to be a lake and too big to be a pond. And we were swimming and we found these blackberries and had a picnic. And as we were doing this, I've talked about this before because I know they recently had the Rise of the Guardians conference. So a lot of
Yeah.
people from our community went to that
Yeah.
Rise of the Guardians.
I was gonna go there. I did pay for it, but I just had a whole bunch of stuff happen
And,
that I
and
just
the,
I gave someone. I
you
know.
what?
I ended up giving my ticket away to someone.
Oh, well, I'm
But
glad
yeah.
somebody got your ticket because Bill Holman was there with the crystal, his Mitchell Hedges skull.
Yeah.
He was there. So, but the reason I bring this up is because there was this dragonfly that was communicating with me with his iridescent goldish wings, and he was like orange and these green eyes, and for hours back and forth and talking to me like almost like he was a human
Yeah.
in the way that I wasn't making it up because I'd ask a
No.
question and he'd respond too quickly. And I know you have this bug connection with me.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about this crazy bug connection.
Well, it's the hive mind that you're connecting to. I remember a video of mine went pretty viral back in the day with the dragonfly, and I was telepathing with the dragonfly because I was like, if I can telepath with trees, I can telepath with insects. Then I can telepath with rocks and the water, and it's just an experiment. And the level of sort of wisdom that was coming from the dragonfly and the rocks and the trees was quite incredible. And it's just the connection I feel that we've lost, but I think we can regain that ability to communicate with every being, because the thing is we're all connected. Once we realize that we are connected to everything that is sentient and with a consciousness, we can communicate through energy. All telepathy is energy. It's just thinking a thought in your mind and connecting in with whatever that is. Most people are doing it with their animals, right? Their dogs, but then the dogs and cats take advantage of it and go, foodies, meaties,
Exactly, of course.
biscuits. And you're like, God damn, it's telepathy. Let's stop it now. You know, but with the dragonfly, it's pretty like pure because they're a part of nature. And so, I mean, if I can't even think of the telepathy that I did, but it was very global. It was about how, again, you hear it a lot from nature, how we're not in balance with nature. You hear that over and over again. And I'm assuming that what you talked about and what the dragonfly said to you was like, please, we are not living in balance with nature, and you need to come back to nature. No, not many of you are able to communicate. So they said that not many of us can speak. Like, we're out of the loop in regards to having communication because most beings communicate telepathically. So they're like, how come you can speak and others can't? I just say they've forgotten how to. I
To
always
me,
say
this
that.
felt like
Yeah.
something other than just sort of like when I've had the thing with praying mantises. I don't see
Yeah.
that, but it's like some other type of consciousness because this
Yeah.
bug, it had a lot of energy. I mean, it
Yeah.
activated my Kundalini energy. I mean, this bug liked me, if you know what I mean. Like a man
Yeah.
likes you. I'm like, this is weird. You know, I told Ron, don't get jealous. This bug likes me.
I didn't get the last part. I think we've got lagging, but it's fine. It will film fine. It's just sometimes I think there's a bit of lagging. What was the last part?
I
Sorry, that
said
you
he
said.
liked me in a way that a guy likes a girl. This bug,
Really?
he liked
Oh my
me. Yeah,
God.
it was very strange. I mean,
Um.
and when he would take off, he would like fly, even though he's weighing less than a dime. The energy that he had behind him, and it lasted for hours. I mean, I don't know. He'd like fly off, and then he'd come back, almost like with the experience of me watching the falconer with his bird of prey. It was just a very bizarre, fun, cool experience that I had never had. And and then we went to Sedona, and we went to New Frontiers, and but we were
Mm,
in our truck and we didn't really have time to go hiking. I mean, we saw that Bell Rock from a distance, but when I did
yeah.
some remote grid work with a gal that lives in South Carolina years later, because she used to go to Sedona all the time, we looked at some of those mountains there and we saw like these vampires under the ground that were like paid mercenaries being held against their will captive and just wanted to move on. It's like they were there to do a job and yet they got trapped and they just wanted to go. So I was curious, what was your experience in Sedona? Because some people I've talked to said they've had like a mixed experience as far as energetically. Now I know Paige Bryant, who wrote The Spiritual Reawakening of the Smokies. She's since made her transition years ago, but it's a great reference book. I mean, she thought
Yeah.
that those vortexes had had their time. That's why she moved to Western North Carolina.
Well, in my experience, I stayed at a place in Cottonwood, and it wasn't. I did go to the main parts, like Bell Rock and all the other Boynton Canyon and places like that, and Grand Canyon. But I felt I went on top of this mesa, like this hill that was in Cottonwood, and that to me was highly powerful because I connected there to the ant people
Oh
that
wow.
were the ant people that were
And that
living
was in wait and that was in
underground.
you said
Cottonwood.
Cottonwood?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sedona, and then you've got places that are around there. But these vortexes aren't really in place. Some are, but there's a lot of places that are really just low key without the tourists there. And it does, and I've heard this before from nature and from different mountains and trees, that it doesn't matter about the height or what the grandeur looks like. If looks like a teapot, looks like a bell, and it's not about the size, it's about the actual place itself, like the grid. Yeah, and it might not be obvious. It might be just a little mesa, a little hill. But they on top of this hill used to be they called it an Indian house, but when I connected to it, it was a temple. And there was a priest that came out and met me, and we had a conversation in spirit. And he had a big headdress on him, and he had like this mask that was like gold, kind of looked like the opera mask. Like half of it was gold and half eye. It was strange, and a red outfit. And he said that this used to be a temple, and that was my first introduction to the temple. And then from there, the ant beings came in and they said, "Oh, we're not used to talking to people on the surface." And I said, "Well, okay, who are you?" "I'm Chloe," and you introduce yourself obviously with telepathy, but they all already kind of know who you are. That's the beautiful thing about telepathy, right? And it's similar to the drag you go on somewhere. Yeah. It's similar to insects as well. Like they can kind of feel into your energy and what you're about. That's the beautiful thing about telepathy, right? You get like when you're connecting to everything about that person, about their spirit, right? So nothing's really hidden. And I think that's why they don't want people to start telepathing. That's the biggest thing, because everything's exposed, right? Everyone can kind of tune into your field, like, oh, she's about this, her value systems are about this. So nothing's really hidden. Do you know what I mean? Like insects, what are you going to hide from me? What interesting thing when you were talking about the dragonfly, I'd be asking, it feels like an energy healing that you're giving me. You know what I mean? Like you said, it was like a man and a woman. It was probably like bringing in balance to, something in the field, because like cats purr, right? They have that resonance and vibration, but dragonflies with their wings have that vibration too, and so do bees.
Yeah,
You wonder if they're coming in and they're doing some work.
this was
Just
more than 20 years ago, and he was
right.
intrigued by my husband and I and my cat Soda, who's transitioned, and now I have an orange cat in masculine form named
Yeah.
Arthur. So this is like at the beginning of my journey, and all the things that I learned that I'm putting into practice now, that I teach and I'm speaking about, and how all these grid lines connect. So after Sedona,
Yeah.
is that when you flew to Tennessee? Did you go into like Knoxville, or where did you
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a blur now, but yeah, I flew from Knoxville. I think uh Charlotte. Is it Charlottesville? I don't know. I flew into a bigger sort of a place. I think it might be Charlotte. Is that the word? Charlottesville? Oh God.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably. Yeah, I'm not familiar
and
with that part of Tennessee. I'm not even sure where they live, what part they live,
yeah,
because we were talking about getting together in Western North Carolina, because Hot Springs is on the border of Tennessee, the eastern border of Tennessee. It's where Western
yeah,
North Carolina and Tennessee meet, is
yeah.
the Hot Springs area
Beautiful.
in Madison. That's in Madison County. So yeah, I was curious about, you went to their place first, I guess, and um,
Yeah, I hung out in Tennessee for a couple of weeks. Actually, I wanted to go up to the Appalachian, but we went into some caves, which was really cool. But yeah, I definitely connected to the Bigfoot energy there on
you
the second last night. Yeah,
you went to that lost sea, and
yeah,
I did that beautiful water underneath, which I get as a reservoir that actually connects into Florida, to Cathedral One in Florida, and probably that water goes all the way down into Mexico, where those like selenite caves and things. So I think that water like
yeah.
connects under the ground as part of a underground water reservoir. And you got to see that layover in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, Charlotte, North Carolina, you would have to almost go through Asheville area to get over to Tennessee. You would, or somewhere, or maybe you went north, maybe you flew into Charlotte and you actually went north, and maybe you bypassed those mountains. I don't know how you went to.
I flew over the mountains, and from the airplane, I was out the window and I was just filming for like half an hour because I wanted to see the Appalachians are very large actually. And I can see how there would be different species living in there for sure. No issues, I was like, I'm coming, guys. Like I was trying to telepath from the aeroplane down to the
Well,
yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina is where our sweet James Rink lived, okay? And him and I
Yeah.
were supposed to get together and do some Brown Mountain Lights tours. Never happened because of that Hurricane Helene, which actually went
Yeah.
through Western North Carolina and was, targeted to certain places that had lithium, like in the
Yeah.
uh, it's called Chimney Rock and Lake Lure, and they had that Albemarle, which sells that stuff in Charlotte. But I would know you went to that Lost Sea, and we did that trip on our way to go see Max the Crystal Skull. We were actually coming back from Illinois, visiting my husband's mother, who lives in Springfield, Illinois. So that's like on this whole New Madrid Fault, Southern Illinois, where there's these
Yeah.
mounds, and they call that Little
The,
Egypt, where the
oh yeah. The Chalkia
Mississippi
Mounds,
ri-
wasn't it?
ri-
Yeah.
Mississippi River is, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Lost Sea and rode that dragon's tail, not on motorcycles, just in a car, but there was like a lot of motorcycle people. Then went to the Light Center in Black Mountain and hung out with Max the Crystal Skull. So I show this again.
Oh
I have a bunch of
yeah.
crystal skulls that actually hung
Yeah.
out with Max. But what did it was that Lost Sea? I love when you guys went there and saw that. What's the Lost Sea? Oh, this is what TKB says. The Lost Sea is the male part of the Appalachian Dragons, 2 miles under the Fountain of Youth. Yeah, I get there is a Fountain of Youth there. There's multiple Fountain of Youths, and I feel that that underground lake does bioluminescence. You know, like the
Yeah,
bioluminescent bays and things like that.
yeah. Well, I definitely feel that there's another whole world underneath America. There's
Yes.
a massive underworld, and we could say this symbolically as well. But yeah, physically there's caverns under America, and the Native Americans called them, a turtle, the turtle, isn't it called turtle?
Turtle
Turtle
Island, all of
Island.
America.
It is because I feel like you can go under. There's like, and we've from rumors, there's whole tunnels, maglev tunnels, and things like that. But when I got to Los Angeles, I was walking through doing a quick little whimsical Wednesdays, and I just suddenly started walking, and then I was transported in this moment, walking down the hallways, down underground, but thousands of miles underground. And it was like spirit wanted to show me that there's just caverns and holes and tunnels everywhere here. And then there was this like draconian reptilian for one moment. He kind of felt my energy above the surface and wanted to say, "Hi, we're here." And I was just like, "What? Okay, just walking through." Can't go anywhere, it's kind of like they sense, you know, it's all interesting. They sense your presence, similar to the Bigfoot, but not, we've got dark and light in this reality, but I feel it's shifting and it's changing. I do feel like that ascension, and we're moving to a higher dimension, you know. But, we've still got actively beings that are here who are trying to make their presence felt, and they don't want the change to happen, because I feel like it would change, what they've got going on, their agenda of what is happening on this planet behind the scenes, pulling the strings. They don't want things to shift, you know.
Did you feel the presence of the Sasquatch when you were with the
Yeah.
TKB and family at their place?
Yeah, it came on this either the last night I was there or the second last night. I had a little I wanted to have connection, so I put a little Lego toy outside on the fence, just like there, just to say, hey, you want to move it a little bit, just like the boys and Tina, they did the whole connection with the Bigfoot by putting the bit of paper and turning it upside down. So I put it on the fence, and nothing happened to the Lego, but I felt the presence of someone. About It was definitely Bigfoot. I think it was Red, because that's the image that I got. So there's Red, who's the father, Scott is the son, and the wife and another child, that I've connected to, by the way, in Australia there. So he just came and just was outside. And I was a little bit like, when you're in the presence of a Bigfoot, it's not, you have to kind of, because they're kind of very strong primordial, beings, you've got to kind of temper yourself, because you can't help but get that feeling of like shock or like fear. So you have to go, is this a predator? What am I dealing with here? But
Right.
you've got to discern. It's like, I didn't get clairvoyantly but I felt like it was red. But it was like my clairvoyance was shut down. I think they shut my clairvoyance down, and they just wanted to say, hey, nice having you here. I know you're going. See you later, kind of thing. That's all it was. Right? That's what we will give you, the presence of us. And people might say, it's not real and whatever. That presence is so tangible. You're smiling because you've had this before. I know it, right? That presence is like, it's like someone standing there with their face against your face. Is more than tangible. It permeates through your whole being. They're that powerful. So I don't doubt it at all. You just came to say, hey, nice to see you. See you later. That's
Well,
all it
I
was.
heard it, and I think it was,
Yeah.
I can't remember now. I don't remember if it was 23 or 24. I don't remember, but it was on my mother's birthday. I had since left the casino in Cherokee, okay, which is, Cherokee lands. But I have a
Yeah.
friend that gets us free hotel rooms at the casino. And there was a
Right.
place in Maggie Valley that actually had, you know the Grateful Dead, even though you're in Australia,
Yes.
but
I
okay,
know
so
everyone in
and I love
my
them
parents were alternative, you know.
because in
Yeah.
Asheville, North Carolina, there's all this hippie stuff, and there's all these like Grateful Dead bands. Okay, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can go see, like, go to these breweries and watch these Grateful Dead bands. Well, coming back from Cherokee, there was this blanket that had the face of Bobby Weir, guitar player.
Yeah.
He's since transitioned last year, and I got to see them with the Wolf Brothers opening for Willie Nelson a few years ago. God, time is gone.
Wow.
I mean, it's just like, wow, how many years ago has that been? Maybe it's been 3 years ago now. I don't even know. But so I'm seeing this blanket. It's got Bob Weir's face, the American
Yeah.
flag, and the body of a Bigfoot. It was
Wow.
hilarious. So this was on my
Yeah.
mind. My friend and I were making jokes about it. She was like posting things. What if Bob Weir was Bigfoot? Well, that night I
Yeah.
heard something. The window was open slightly. It was a cool night in October. It was actually the 11th going into the 12th, because my mother's birthday is October 12th. And I heard this sound, like I call it opening the portal, because it was almost like singing a cry, and it was like I can't even describe what it was, and I still hear it, but I can't articulate it, where I'd have to go back and listen to the recording of what I did, because I could actually articulate the language in a way, because it was fresh then. But it was like
Wow.
a bunch of times, and then just hearing this and knowing they were opening the portal, and then it was like talking to me telepathically. But
Yeah.
I didn't see it. But I had friends that have had the rocks on their roof, the trees that go like this, because they do this. And
Yeah.
one time when we were actually in Chimney Rock, my husband would do like this on a tree, and then he'd hear
Yeah.
it back, and then and this echoing back and forth, and of
Yeah.
him doing
Wow.
that when there's no people in the woods.
Yeah. You're connecting with, the forest people. So whatever, if they're Fae or they're Bigfoot, there's a whole other reality, a whole world
Yeah.
that they jump in and out of, I feel. And, from all the testimonials and witnesses, they're jumping in trees, like going behind trees and disappearing into trees. They know there's stories here in Australia with the indigenous people, that the Gadachi man or the clever woman as well, that they travel through trees in grid lines. So there's stories of traveling through the grid lines through trees. When we used to be able to do it, we used to remember how to do it. So the clever people used to be able to do it, but that information has been lost to humans. But I feel like if we can telepath, we can portal through trees. I'm hoping one day it will
How
happen.
far are you from Uluru, and have you been there?
Uluru, you say Uluru. That's how you say
Uluru.
it.
Okay. Uluru.
Um, no, not as yet, because I haven't had the purpose given to me for going there.
How far is it?
I have to kind of have, for me, I have to have the go ahead. Like you can go here now. There's actually a place near Uluru that called the Olgas, that I feel more drawn to actually than Uluru. So it's similar to what I was saying about Cottonwood and like Sedona. It's not always the most obvious places. Like Uluru is a
Exactly.
big stone in the middle of the desert that all the tourists go to, but it's like there's energies around or near there that can be just as palpable or more important for that person to go and visit for some reason. Like places, as you know, and sacred sites align to your field for a certain purpose and can activate parts of you, and just like the dragonfly come and heal you because you've got that connection. Like we've lost so much from our disconnection from nature, um and healing, like so many things, don't you agree? Like we've lost so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was just curious how far you were from there too, because I'm just trying to feel
Oh,
actually where you are. Like
oh, right, Brisbane. So there's Australia here. right? Ullaru's right in the center.
It's huge.
I'm
So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
long way.
I'm way over on the East Coast, so near the ocean, right? So
Okay.
Ullaru's right in the desert, in the middle of Australia. It's
So
like
it's
the
like
heart
the
of
United
Australia.
States. It's huge. So it's like
Yeah, it's massive.
I just don't get to Sedona regularly or the Four Corners because on the East Coast I'm too far. So it's the
Yeah,
same kind of thing.
similar.
But I had
It's
wondered if you had
similar.
never been there yet.
Yeah, it's like probably about the same sort of distance actually. If you were to say where you are to Sedona is probably about right. From Brisbane to Uluru. I'll go there, but I'll get the pool to go there. I'm just gonna wait for that or the invitation. People. No, I'm not gonna force it because like there's always some sort of hidden thing when I've got to go somewhere.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the
It's
grid
not like
work
you're in a
stuff.
it's not like
Yeah.
you're in a 2 hour radius. Like you can go drive somewhere 2 hours and come back for the day. You're too far. It's a trip in itself. So
Yeah, it's
I
like
know
a
when my
3-day
friend went
drive.
there, that was days,
Yeah.
and I think they had pack animals and they camped out
It's a
there.
3-day drive and it's about 8 hours per day. You know what I mean?
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Now
Yeah.
Joshua, Joshua and Katrina lived with us for a while before
Did
they
they?
moved to
Wow.
Seattle. After they moved out of Atlanta, Georgia, they lived
Yeah.
with us for a while before they went to the Seattle area. And I was just
Yeah.
curious where Joshua was going in Australia and if you were going to meet him in the physical.
Oh, he's going down to Melbourne and Tasmania. I think he's got a
Oh,
Tasmania, so it's way down the bottom there, and he's going to a conference there, I think. So I'm pretty far up,
that's
unless I
another
go down
place
to
you'd have to fly. That's
yeah,
another
I'd
place.
have to fly down to Melbourne, which is, a 2 or 3 hour plane ride, and then, go and meet him. But he's going to the island down the bottom in Tasmania. Australia's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to a conference there. And maybe, I don't know, if I'm in Melbourne, I might be able to get down there. Depends. But it's in November, I think he's going. Yeah.
So after you left Tennessee, is that when you went to Las Vegas?
Yes. Yes. I had to go to Las Vegas. Yeah, and go see. I was with Misha Johnson, so I went to visit her.
Oh, wonderful. How cool is
Yeah.
that?
Well,
Wow.
we did a video, and my friend Angie from Australia just rocked up in Vegas, and so we all hung out, and then we got to do sky watching. On the way there, I was telepathing with the tall whites. I didn't realize, but it was happening. With a tall white galactic, but they're here, and with his wife and their child. And the
Oh,
most
wow.
amazing, the most amazing thing happened. Like, I was just a quick little thing. Um, they said, "Can our child telepath with you? We wants to practice." And so this little boy was telepathing with me, and he goes, "And raspberries," and I was like, "Okay, thank you." I was like, "That's weird, raspberries. Okay, whatever." But when I was recalling or relaying that little telepath, like this is under like a minute, you know what I mean? It was just a quick little, hey, tall whites, because we were pointing to the Nevada desert and there's Area 51. And then I have read the Charles Hall account of the tall whites, so I was like, quick little thing in my head. And then this whole thing happened with the father, the mother, and the child. And as he's saying raspberries, it doesn't make any sense until I'm relaying the story back to Misha Johnson the next day at 12 o'clock. In front of me is a little packet of raspberries. No kidding. And I went, "Oh, raspberries." I went, and I started laughing.
Oh, wow. How cool.
Yeah, because he'd relayed the telepathy with me, but I didn't understand the raspberry connection until I was relaying the story the next day. And there's a packet of raspberries there. So he's like remote
Wow.
viewed the conversation the next day. And I'm like, wow, you're actually next level.
That's really cool.
This tall white child is next level. Of course he's remote view. He's like teaching me, you know what I mean? Hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, we
really
saw some ships. Yeah, we saw some ships and we filmed them, and they're in my Whimsical Wednesdays. Halfway through is, the plasma ships. We got I felt like the first one that we got was they're from them, because they telepath straight away with me and they said, "Is that slow enough for you for our filming?" So we're filming and they go, "Is that slow enough?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. Yep." Keep on going. And then a few other beings. I feel like it's so very natural, you know what I mean? Our society is like suppressed and limited, like all this reality. It's just so unfortunate, you know?
It's highly active out there with Area 51. And I have a friend that has a property in Rachel, Nevada, which is where that little
Yeah.
alien inn is. I don't know if you got to drive up to go see where that little alien inn is. And Netflix did a series about, the whole area, Storm Area 51. There was a whole thing about they were trying to put an event together there. Yeah, and I have a friend, another Jason too, that's out there
Yeah.
and does all this UFO footage all the time. It's very interesting there.
I wouldn't surprise me if these places of high activation I'd imagine there'd be portals or doorways to different dimensions, you know. Hence why we've got in our reality, they try and militarize that stuff. And that's another reason why they stop people going into natural places. And perhaps now that my mind's making all the connections, and perhaps that's why the missing persons, David Paulides missing
Oh
411,
yeah,
you know,
missing
national
411. Yeah.
parks.
Yep.
Yeah, that just sort of came into my mind then that, you know, people, I think some people just go missing in these places because like portals activate and they just walk through and it's like, sorry, I just walked into a different dimension. It'd be so interesting what dimension they're going to, these people that go missing. And,
Yeah, they
you
might be
know,
going in an underground base. Some of them, I don't know. It
yeah,
depends, with these military bases. Hey, Christy's in the house too. We were just, she was just talking about Misha
yeah.
Johnston. Christy just had Misha on her program.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah,
Hi,
so
Christy.
a lot of cool stuff there. I'm telling you that what
Yeah,
I found the other day doing some research in the middle of the night as I was like doing a remote view of the area because I can't physically go. So I figured I'd just link in with all this
yeah,
Sedona and, use my rock to do it. I found
yeah.
out that there's actually a temple of Bastet, which is between some of the military bases. I think it's, I don't know. It's not
Right.
Nellis. I think it's north. I forget which base it is now, but yeah, that you didn't get to go there, did you?
Is
You
that
may not have known about it.
Boynton Canyon? There's a base there apparently. Um, uh, um, James Bartley told me about it. He goes, "Oh, go to Boynton Canyon. There's a base there." But I did go there, but I didn't. I don't really want to go around bases. Thank you. I'd rather go to the natural places that have the ant people and they're more conducive to my energy and they're more nicer. You know, there's a lot of things that are coming out like about my memories. And it's funny because you'll get all of us are like, why are we so infatuated and obsessed with this area? And then you realize you've had experiences like abduction and the whole SSP thing. And it's like people are like, oh, it's just like a cult. Everyone's a part of it. It's like, no, I think people are actually awakening to the fact that they were a part of it. That's why we're so obsessed with this topic,
I
because we've
know.
actually had the experiences as children off world. They use me as a telepathic interface. What am I doing now? I'm telepathing. I didn't even realize. I'm telepathing with trees and it's just going through the roof, all these things. Why am I being activated? I've done it before, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But what it was so neat though is right between these bases. I forget what they said. These places of like war codes. We're going to have a temple to Bastet, and it's really beautiful. And I think you can even
Wow.
go stay there. So when I get out west, that's on my list. Besides Ash
Yeah.
Springs, and also going to the home of Zoltar. I'm obsessed with Zoltar, so I really want to go to Boulder City, Nevada next time and go see Zoltar. I just love him, and also do the find this temple of Bastet and Bryce
Mm.
Canyon. I don't know if you went to Bryce Canyon, if you had time to go there or not.
Bryce Canyon, is
Yeah,
it? I think I did actually. I don't know how, but I know the name. I went to the Grand Canyon
yeah,
and I got told by Spirit to do a ceremony there, throw tobacco out. And I was told, because this is like a highly, this area that I did this activation in was highly touristed. Like there was just tourists everywhere. It was along this track that you go down from the Grand Canyon, go through this like, I don't know, tunnel kind of thing. And I was like, okay, but there's a lot of people here, so I don't know how I'm going to do this. But they said, "Don't worry, we'll look after it." So when I went there, everything stopped for like no one was there for like 10 minutes. And this is really highly touristed area. So they just looked after having no one on this trail so I could do this tobacco ceremony and activate there as well. Because I feel, to me, under the Grand Canyon or near that Grand Canyon is a base. I feel like
Yes.
it's very negative. So that was my experience under there. So activating and bringing in the energies there was where I was meant to go, because the day before, in Sedona, I had all these spirits, or Native American spirits, the Hopi people, come into the hotel room. And I was a little bit like, whoa, what's happening now? Because I felt like what's going to happen? Is the dark coming? I felt like we are under attack. But then they came in and they gave me this, in spirit, they gave me this feather, and it was a part of the activation. It was quite incredible. And I was very surprised by of um the level of it. And I was like, "Oh, what the hell? Why am I doing it? Why can't they get someone in America?" I don't know. But I think it's got to do with some Lemurian connection that I had in the past life.
Yes.
So
Now,
yeah,
bringing that in, did you
yeah,
feel or connect with any of the underground water where some of the submarines are housed? Because there are submarines in the middle of the desert near the
yeah,
Grand Canyon. I can't remember exactly where because I'm just going off the cuff, no notes. I didn't make any notes. It's just wherever we go.
yeah,
But I know that and I could feel that. And even when I was in the Great Salt Lake, when I did that years ago after no sleep, I could feel now there, I could feel mummies. There was Egyptian mummies that
yeah.
were actually brought there because Joseph Smith from the LDS was actually obsessed with that kind of thing, you
Well,
know?
I can tell you from my experiences in connecting to Atlantis and Lemuria, the fashion of Atlantis is actually Egyptian. There's a
Yeah.
lot of, yeah. So when you even going to different planets like Malduk, that looked Egyptian. There was Egyptian fashion everywhere. So it was a period of time that went on for a very long time with the fashion. So you got the sculptures, you got the houses, you got the temples, and I feel under in America is a part of that whole Atlantean connection. So it's not to forget that. So all those old places, and I can feel temples, and I can feel technology left is what I'm getting, and places of importance. There are submarines, there are active portals, and there are active tunnels, water tunnels, tunnels that go from one place to another. Maglev. I'm kind of channeling this. It's interesting. But yeah, it's a leftover Atlantean, from my experience, all the Egyptian looking things. Because we go to Egypt, 'cause, that's got all the old Atlantean, or Alexandra. It was that period and all Egyptian. Yeah. So Lemuria looked a little bit different from the Atlantean look. Yeah.
Did you happen to go near Hoover Dam and Lake Mead at all?
I don't
Be-
think so. No.
Okay, because I remember when I was on the road as a truck driver, my first experience of seeing like tunnels
Yeah.
and bog bodies and what they do with people as far as SSP
Yeah.
experiments was having dreams about Hoover Dam and Lake Mead. And interestingly enough, Chevy
Yeah.
Chase, that's one of the movies for the vacation. Maybe that was the Las Vegas vacation because there was vacation, European vacation, where they always go round and round the European vacation. There, it's like they're going around a circle, and the Las Vegas one, he's like holding the dam up with chewing gum, and that was like funny. But there was
I don't
something
remember
about
that
that whole
movie.
Lake Mead and
Yeah.
Hoover Dam that was so icky for me. I would dream about it.
Right.
I was on the road all the time. And
Well,
Catalina Island was another place that they have
mm,
elongated skulls in Catalina Island. And I feel there's
right.
something about that that actually connects in with Easter Island with those moai heads. I don't know what,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the continents used to look very different, you
Yes.
know. I know when I had a moments where I was looking and I could see in Sedona that it used to be all underwater. and that some of those high places were islands. So that was just the visual that I got. It's very controversial to talk about that.
Well, some people say that Egypt and all that stuff actually was in the something sea, Salton Sea, which is I think in Southern California and maybe in Arizona, but I can't remember exactly. You know, like maybe going
Yeah.
towards not Yuma, not that far. Can't remember the names of all the places because I don't have a map in front of me. There's just so much. But how would you feel about talking to this guy, or actually gal? Would you like to
We
talk to
can have a
her?
go. We can try. The funniest thing is I said to Joshua, "Do you have a pink skull?"
I didn't even hear that part of it because I was multitasking, but I looked at a little bit of it because I just wanted to connect with the two of you. But I missed that part, but I guess I
Okay,
didn't.
well, I can try. Sometimes it will just be sporadic, and sometimes it will just let me just ground in.
Everybody take some deep breaths.
Yeah. And what is the name of the skull again? Did you say?
Her name is Esmeralda.
Esmeralda. That's okay. I'm just going to connect into Esmeralda. She's having it. She's like a lady, of course, Esmeralda. I'm connecting
Yeah.
into her. I can hear her voice. I just have to bring up the volume a bit. You are correct about many places in the United States. Some parts have changed so drastically you would never even imagine that they were the same places. The Grand Canyon, yes, has been creviced out with water, and there have been many eras where the earth has looked so different. That's what I can hear.
Yeah.
She talks like like a like a lady. She's a little lady. You know what I mean? Her energy is that, but she's kind of like the feminine matriarchal energy. Yeah.
She,
So you can ask questions, I suppose. I'll go back into her. I just have to jump out for a second and then I'll jump back in again. Okay, bring it in. I'm going to bring in some pink flowers to build up the connection. Pink flowers because it's all pink. Pink, 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 pink. Yeah. Would you like her to just to talk through?
whatever she wants to say, I just thought it would be
Yeah.
fun to do. She gets a lot of spa treatments because she actually sits with her hot tub, so she's
I
getting,
can hear it because
yeah,
she's answered
bubbles,
before you've even said
a
anything,
lot
and
of
you're
bubbles.
connected.
And I'm
It's
drinking the
water.
rose. I'm drinking the rose tea, so it's the rose spray, all the rose stuff for her.
It's so fantastic because just before you said anything, she's like, "I have a strong connection to water," and you've
Yep.
gone. We put her in the spa. She's telling me about the waters, and I'm assuming it's what we've talked about because she's gone into the water. Um, Many people can connect and they do connect in with the water. There is a lady who's standing on or sitting on the edge of looks like a ravine, and she's putting her hand in the water. I'm going to tell you a method. There is a method that many people have lost, but here is a method. The- A lady or a man, they can put their hand into the water and they can ask the water to speak to them. You can even put your toe in the water and ask the water to speak with you. The water has much information that the population will be grateful to hear. It is important, the connection to water, because the water can create great havoc and a rumbling and a changing of the landscape itself. Many people have to connect into their places, their cherished places of natural waters, because the water will speak to you and give you everything that you need in your body. But it's important that you communicate your needs to the water. The water itself can also show you if there's devastation along the way. If your place is not safe, a mudslide may happen,
Oh.
and all these things that can catastrophes can happen.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh
How are
my
you
God,
feeling
I
with
got
that?
visions of Western North Carolina. It brings me
Yeah.
back to when that Helene went through there, and I saw it wasn't necessarily myself. It could have been me or somebody sitting in
Yeah.
like in the 50s or something. I don't know, but on a couch in front of an old style TV, and all of a sudden the water went through the glass and it just knocked them out of their house, and they went
Yeah.
sliding down, rock slide.
Yeah.
And also out west, I felt like there was like a clearing of the waters. Like, you
Yeah.
remember when all that stuff with the, Gavin Newsom is what we call him, Newsom, out in California, and how that because
Yeah.
of some fish or something, they weren't letting the natural water come down in Canada to flow down to California and all the way down. I felt like we just, with whatever you did and whatever I'm receiving, the water's
Yeah.
going from north to south now, like a blockage. And the interesting thing is, I also
Wow.
saw the ant people. I actually saw
Yeah.
the ant people like doing something with water, even though they don't, like ants here
Yeah.
don't really like
Well,
water much.
they live underground, so they feel everything on the surface of what the surface people are doing to the water, and that came through in the telepathy with the ant people. So you're correct. So this is like we're doing this as a duel, because when telepathy, you can feel it like with anyone in a group. If we did telepathy with a group right now with the crystal, well, we are. There's a whole bunch of people out there. They're probably all getting like visions. They're being activated, right, just through watching this, right? So she's given she said it's very important because many people are picking up on things telepathically before tragedy happens, but they
Exactly.
don't understand what it is. I can feel that they feel doom, a feeling of be prepared. But she's saying to really connect is put your hand in the water. And she said you can even do this with tap water. So fascinating. She's just told me you can open up the faucet and put your hand in the water. And this is how you telepath with water. Feel the, is it left hand or right hand? I feel like she's got her dominant hand is what I'm hearing. So if you're left-handed, put your left hand in there. Right-handed, put your right hand.
Well, I'm left-handed. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
ambidextrous, but my dominant hand would be for writing, left-handed.
yeah, yep. So that's your dominant hand, and I'm just going to ask her, is that how you telepath? You put your, yeah. So she wants to give a method to people. So this may actually help or save or help people in some future thing, because I can feel that really. The Esmeralda is a teacher. I think you've been taught that before or told that before. She's a teacher. That's the feeling I'm getting. So she wants to give a method. Put your hand, most dominant hand, in the water and ask the water, why do you have this feeling? And then the water will answer, the water will rise soon. There is clouds upon the horizon that will cause many waters to rush harder and stronger downstream. And as they rush and go downstream, they will break the banks and go further to the right. That's what I can feel. Don't know what's happening in your area. Where are you?
Well, I'm on the coast of South Carolina, which is, between two military bases, and this would be a land of hurricanes, but it's also one of the points of the Bermuda Triangle. So this would be Stargate 3, and I've done a lot of
Yeah.
Bermuda Triangle grid work, Puerto Rico. I was just down
Wow.
in Key West, and with this guy, Robert the Haunted Doll, who ends up being more than a haunted doll. He's like the guardian gatekeeper of the East Fort Martello Museum, where what I was seeing is that the energy of Stargate 2, which is
Mm,
Siesta Key, Sarasota, Florida, Gulf of America, Mexico, and Stargate 3, Bermuda Triangle, those bodies of water dissolve into each other. It's the Gulf and the Atlantic
right.
Ocean dissolve into each other. It's at that point. And when I would do these cruises on the
Yeah.
Margaritaville cruise, it's very interesting that it left out of Port of Palm Beach. I know you also have a Palm Beach in Australia,
Yeah.
because a
Yeah.
friend of mine would mirror that back, but that's
Yeah.
Trump land near Mar-a-Lago. And I
Right.
got near Mar-a-Lago last year. I went right by it. This year I couldn't. That war had broken out and I couldn't. And I got that they had temporarily moved that Stargate 2 to Mar-a-Lago, and that these were the Dark Atlantean Brotherhood priesthood in
Yeah.
in Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach with this Stargate. And you could feel the power of it, and that he's got a replica of the Ark of the Covenant. So there was definitely some artificial thing going on there, but even the
Yeah.
artificial wormholes they're creating are still being used for good. So even the good, the bad, and the ugly, in my feeling, everything is
Yeah.
being transcended for our good, that we can use whatever portals are opening. I mean, even if it's a dark portal, with these trumpets, like the good guys open a portal, the bad guys, it's move, counter move, move, counter move, but
Yeah.
we can use it, because
Yeah.
the Bermuda Triangle, which I'm going to share about tomorrow, was originally a womb vortex, a plasma vortex that was reversed. It was like a birthing center that's pre-Lumerian.
Yeah.
It's pre-Hyperborean, so it's like a gateway to another world. And you can look at who's done a fantastic job of showing great grids is that Graham Hancock has that
Yeah.
special on Netflix that
Yeah.
shows
Right.
about all the things that happened like 12 to 13,000 years ago,
Yeah.
of all the different
Yeah.
pyramids, the Bimini Road, all these different places, and how different places are being activated. Now I
Yeah.
feel there's some kind of activation going on, because something
I
is
feel
going
so
to
too. Yeah.
happen again. And
Yeah.
are we being warned that something's going to happen again? Oh, also,
Mm-hmm.
Western North Carolina has
Yeah.
petroglyphs. I think you have petroglyphs, like
Yeah.
rocks with those drawings and things like
Yeah. Up in
that.
the Gosford, which is north of Sydney, similar area to Palm Beach actually, and inland, they've got what looks to be petroglyphs, and it looks Egyptian, right? So
Yeah,
it's all over the world. This Egyptian, why is this Egyptian? I feel it's Atlantean, this
yeah.
Atlantean Lemurian period, the leftovers off that, and they've done their darndest to like get rid of all these sculptures. I've seen lots of places all over the world that have been like in Sedona. I saw a lot of rock drawings that were supposed to be there but have been taken down, and same in Australia. So there's been an active kind of desecration of historical rock drawings and sculptures on the planet, because the resonance is there. Like I can clairvoyantly see that it used to be a big rock drawing down that's been scraped off, an active sort of getting rid of the history of this planet.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, thanks, Danny. She likes my hair. I don't want to type in the chat. I'm afraid I'm going to necessarily screw something up. Now, did you see anything to do with that Lucifer telescope when you were in Sedona? There's a thing that has like that Lucifer telescope, something the Vatican owns. Did you know that?
No, I didn't really connect into the Lucifer telescope. I probably didn't want to.
I wouldn't want to either, but I know
No.
it's there. But I don't know if you drive by it. I have no idea what you drive by. And if that New Frontiers is still there, there's that health food store, which was a big deal. Is that still there? Or maybe you didn't go there
In
either?
Sedona, I didn't even go there. I would
Yeah.
have liked to have gone there. No, I didn't go there. Um, I just kind of were drawn to certain places and got told to stay out of certain places. And I was there actually for the conference, and then just some things happened, and I got basically spirit didn't want me to go. And Christy's in the comment.
Yeah, Christy, I had a conversation about why the conferences can be extremely draining too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if
And
you're getting there's a lot of targeting, psychotronic
yes.
warfare that goes on in certain places, and I've just got to trust my gut, and
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
I could feel it
whatever
because
it
we were
was, I don't
talking
have to
about
know.
it. They
Yeah,
target the
right.
heart. It's like they microwave and they like electrical
Yeah,
shock therapy that goes to your shoulder blades. So
yeah,
clear that now. We don't want any of that. Whoa, get rid of
yeah.
it.
Like I've had from 2021 the little micro heart attacks that come after like doing telepathy. I've had all of it. So I know exactly what it feels like. Your heart is palpitating like this. So I bring in my dragons,
Yes.
and then I've had a telepath with the dragons. They're great because they're awesome protectors, especially for grid workers. They work alongside grid workers because they're for the positive timeline, the positive grids. and they're literally called dragon lines on the planet. So I
That's
called
right.
in my dragon, you know, breathe fire all over the energy, and then it just goes. Or I get I've learned to, what you call it, battle with it or fight with these, you know, if you know how to work with the earth energies, right? Dragons, the fae, what you just pull on whatever spirit gives you, right? You know, it's like it's a master degree in like protection, I feel, you know, when you go through all these different things. What else did I use? So many tactics. It depends. I can even grab the energy that's being directed at me, wrap it up in a ball, put it into the earth, cover it over, and it's like, ah, that feels better. You know? So it's just a
Or throw
reminder
it
to
in deep
people.
space and blow it up. I kind of do that.
Is that what you do?
Create like a portal, like a black hole portal, throw it in there and blow
Yeah.
it up and dissolve it and let it go back to source. Yeah, that's what I do a lot of times with certain things.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry, it lags.
I don't want the earth having it either. I think the earth is
Mm.
transmuting enough stuff, so
Yeah, I know, but I used to think that too. Oh, don't put it into the earth. But like, she just is so willing to take it and turn it into compost. That's her job. She transmutes and transforms it. So don't worry about that. No, not at all. And in fact, if you're defending planet Earth and our mother, you know, she's more willing to work with you. And then for me, I get a whole bunch of ravens and crows that seem to follow me
oh
around.
my God, I had one the other day. These crows in the parking lot. And when I was coming out of Planet
Yeah,
Fitness, our local gym, you know, I was working out.
yeah,
And I'm like, if you want to come home with me, you can. I'm talking to him, but he's moving his
yeah,
mouth because what he's really looking for is something on the ground to eat. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's so hot here. Why do you want to just be on this hot pavement? It's so hot. You want to come
yeah,
home with me? And he's looking
yeah,
for something to eat, like potato
yeah.
chips is what he was really wanting. He was like telling me, I want some salty thing like a potato chip. And I'm thinking, well, that's not too good for you, but whatever. I don't have any potato chips to give you.
Oh, what I wanted to do, we got sidetracked because yeah, we're talking about all these wonderful things, of course. But like, I wanted to go. I got that from Esmeralda just now. She's just piped in. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, you muted yourself. Just press the button.
Oh, because my husband, I want him to turn this bright light
Oh,
off. It's
sorry.
bright in my face. When I got off before, I was trying to adjust the light. I'm going to actually take my
Yeah.
glasses off.
Well, Esmeralda just popped in now, and because
Mhm.
she's a teacher, she's like, oh, it's all very wonderful, but come back to me. But I got a vision on top of there's an area, and I feel like she's wanting to talk about the waters there because it's something in the future or near future. There's a lot of water, the rain, and everyone's probably getting a visual now. You can probably hear the thunder. You can hear a lot of rain that is on top of a precipice. It's like on a higher area, so it goes when it goes down to where you are and you're near the ocean, there's like there's the river, and it's exactly what we talked about before, right? There's a lot of water that comes to a higher area and it goes down into the ocean, wherever that is. Does this make sense?
Yeah, she
It's
needs
like
to go to North Carolina is what I'm hearing. And it did storm today. So I think
yeah.
Esmeralda's going with me to North Carolina, Ron. She has to go there for a while.
Is this what but she's saying that it's
She
kind of
wants
like
to travel.
it feels to me like a bit of a warning, like there's a lot of water coming down, going through the creeks, and it's going to break the banks, going into the ocean,
That's
whatever
happened a
this
lot.
is.
That's happened a few times,
Yeah,
and that's what that hurricane was in 2024. That happened in
yeah.
September of 2024. I wonder if you're still picking that up, or is this in the future? Let's
This
get
is the
clear on that.
future. This is
Oh God.
Esmeralda. This is Esmeralda giving a warning, and
Oh
basically, because
no.
she's connected into the waters and she's telling people how to increase your telepathy and what's at the foremost, right? So if a being like Esmeralda, the crystal skull, beautiful energies that she's got, she's going to bring in the highest priority of what is needed to be messaged as a message out for the people, right? And the highest priority is be careful of the water that is coming through the storm that is going to break the banks, and people just, I can see as the water is breaking the banks, the sand is going into mud. So you got
Oh
that
yes.
vision before of in the 50s, and this is just, I don't know the
And that's what
location.
Helene did that.
Yeah.
it actually it burst the French Broad River, the
Yeah.
Catawba River, and the Swananoa River. And the
Yeah.
Swananoa River, it has not recovered. The A
Yeah.
lot of Western North Carolina has not recovered.
I feel there's another one. There's definitely, because I can feel it. Can you sense it as we're talking, like on top of the head? It's kind of like she's going.
Yeah, I hope
We're
it's
saying
not this year, because I'm thinking this year they say is an El Nino year.
right.
Hurricane season hasn't started yet. Interestingly enough, the first storm they're naming it
Mm.
Arthur, after King
Ah,
Arthur, and my kitty cat Arthur, which I'm not sure where he was. I wanted to show you him, but he's not here. Maybe you've seen him on other shows, though.
watch the waters again, she says. Feel it in your bones and feel it in your body. Use the method that I have shown you to put your hands in the water, to have the communication directly. So then you can prepare in your own land and your own places to the people that are listening in the area. Put your hand in the water, even if it's through the tap, and have that connection and communication directly to the water spirit of your place. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's powerful.
And it
Ron
feels
put
it.
two water features on this property here because I felt this needed more yin energy. One by our
Yeah.
house, which is a roundhouse, and one down by our RV, which we rent out. And that those
Yeah.
have actually rocks, even from like Ireland and, Spain and France, and, of course, Western North Carolina and other places, because it's like working with all these grids. But yeah, I feel what you're saying, and
And
I
she's
guess it
just
has to go through
spoken.
the ocean
Yeah,
too.
because we've got the connection with her back again. She's saying it's controlled weather. That's the
Oh
last
yes,
thing she wants to say is it's controlled. And that's why it just stays in one spot on the highlands, and it just rains and rains and stays there for a while. Just stays, and there's lots of thunder. You can hear it, you can feel the wind through. People are feeling it as I'm talking. There's a couple I can see actually in spirit where I'm in the astral there as I'm there too.
well, you know
And I
what? It's
can I
interesting. That's
wonder
what
if
they
Christy's
do.
feeling it because like I can see her there.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah,
They do rain for a while, and then they do a
yeah,
drought and fires, and they
yeah,
make this. They make the weather like that. Helene,
yeah,
that was targeted. They
yeah,
directed with directed energy weapons to bring a storm like of that caliber
yeah.
to Western North Carolina, because you should not have a hurricane like that in the mountains. That it's not natural.
Right. So sounds similar. I mean, your area. I can just see it visually, like as I'm over the top of it. You would probably recognize, like if you're connecting to it clairvoyant, you'd recognize that mountain range that she's talking about and all the rivers that are coming down off it that go
Right.
into the ocean. Does
Yeah.
that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, I can see it. There's
Yeah.
exactly where it was before. The French Broad River. I do a lot of grid work too at a place called Mount Mitchell, which is the highest point on the
Yeah.
eastern seaboard at 6,684 feet. It's the highest mountain east of the Rockies and east of the Mississippi.
Did you hear the cricket that just answered something then? Is that a cricket or a grasshopper
It's
where you
actually
are?
my phone that's tracking lightning strikes right now. It tracks
What?
lightning strikes, and we just had because I track weather and I work with weather, and I actually work
I
with
like that you've got the
Thor's.
grasshopper sound.
I work with Thor's hammer. So in the
Right.
etheric, I'm doing a plasma Thor's hammer, and one of the hurricanes we had, I was actually, my higher self was up there with this hammer pushing these storms away, because that's
Ah,
not what I'm choosing. There it goes again, a lightning strike. Yep, let's see where there's, probably in Western North Carolina. I'd have to
yeah.
look, but I'm sure it's in Western North Carolina.
Fascinating. Isn't that fascinating that we've got that? Just as we're talking about it, and we're right. I can feel the storm. I can feel how cold it is, how dark the clouds are, and how they stay there. But yes, there you go. If you're doing the grid work with the clouds, you can do that. I saw this lady with a cloud buster the other day, and it's incredible. It's just a copper pipe filled with water, and at the top is a crystal, like I don't know if it has to be six pointed crystal. Let's how many points does that need to have to work? One, two, three, four, five. So 5 points to work. Crystal, quartz crystal on top of copper pipe. So I know you've got a lot of inventive people in the South. you know, like, like TKP and Matt, they just make things, you know, amazing from scratch. Like you had to be self-reliant there. That's what I love about. It's similar to Australia. We're very inventive. So a five-pointed crystal at the top, and I think you glue it in there, and then it's filled with water, and it's a cloud buster. You put it in the earth because it activates it, right, and then goes right up. There you go. Cloud
If
bust that stuff.
if I want to carry it with me, that Oregon, you know, like setting an intention, this goes with me. This little
Yeah.
pyramid that has that, uh, or it's like
Oh
organite
yeah,
with
little
that
organite.
copper in it. And then the other
Yeah.
thing I want to share is this rock, because this was gifted me. This is a volcanic rock, which is the same type of volcanic rock, and you can see how heavy
Yeah.
this is. That
Yeah.
meteor crater they have in Meteor Crater, and I don't know if you got
Uh,
to Winslow, Arizona. Oh wow, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yours looks like Tektite. This is different than Tektite.
Yeah.
Winslow, Arizona is Meteor Crater, and that looks exactly where they filmed the moon landings.
Yeah. That's right. They did. it's, it's so interesting, you know, like when you think about the prison planet, is this is the interesting thing got from the telepathy from different species. It's a hijacking of our perspective. The propaganda, it's just a hijacking of our minds because they know how powerful we are, but we're easily hijacked, you know, television programming and just rah, rah, rah. Here you go, there's a moon landing, even though we can't come up with the basics. We've gone to another, we've gone to the moon. You know?
Back to programming. How many of you are going to go see Disclosure Day? Drop it in the chat. I'm going to go see it so I can be on with Rob on Typical Skeptic and talk about it on Monday. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll go and see it just because everyone's doing it, but I'll
Right.
just,
And because to see the reactions from people too.
yeah. Well, like you say, like any sort of disclosure, I suppose, is waking people up because you don't want to overload everyone because I think people go into panic, or that's what they say, which is true because when I do telepathy, or I talk to Esmeralda or I talk to a grasshopper, they'll just give you like one little nugget, right? Bang. It basically be careful of the area and water is coming and here's a bit of a method so everyone can connect in, you know. They don't want to go, and now that we've got that, let's go to a different planet. Let's go to a different dimension. Let's even though I love that. It's just like little bit by little bit. And I feel that's what the movie's going to do, you know. There are
Exactly.
other beings, you know, but you've got to wonder, you know. Of course, there's always like, what's the agenda? Because there's still that power battle going on, and I do feel like there is positives definitely in the background more so than now. A shift definitely in the last month. 100% the fact that I went over to the US, you know, you
How
know.
long were you there for total? It was a month at least, wasn't it?
It was a month and a bit, so about, yeah, 5 weeks, I think. So about five
Wow, how
weeks.
cool. That's so
Yeah.
amazing. So that's so wonderful that you got to have
Yeah, and I
experience.
just went with the flow. I got a 3-month visa because I wasn't sure how long I was going to stay, but like it's, you know, the money ran out. So it's very expensive for us Australians to go there because like $100 US is like 145. But I feel like, you know, the fact that I went there, there's all these other people are going to be coming now, you know, to America. Hey, Chloe went there and she got in. It's all good because in the news, people are getting told that they're going to be stopped for their social media and at the border. And I think there was a lot of scare tactics actually on our
Well, the
television.
pandemic was awful in Australia. From what I heard, is
Yeah.
that the beta testing in Australia. I know
Yeah.
Lisa Harrison. Did you ever listen to Lisa Harrison? She had. I'm trying to think what was the name. She's from your area. I remember when they
Oh,
came over to the U.S. I mean, she interviewed David Icke back in the day. I can't remember the name
okay.
of the show though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we get pretty suppressed here, though. I mean, David Icke, you know, he's not allowed to come to Australia. He's probably not allowed to come to the US either. Like, he's not allowed to leave his own country, you know,
Yeah.
because he's still going to be able to talk. My God. Um.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said this
Yeah.
movie's a psyop. He said this movie is definitely a psyop because what it's doing is
Yeah.
preparing people to be more acceptance of grays. Oh, that'll be interesting for
Yeah.
you to tell us. You've channeled the grays. Oh, and did you know Joe Rogan is even covering this movie? Yeah, but tell us
Yeah.
about your experience of you at one point channeled the grays, you lost your channel, all these different things.
Okay. Well, so I was like, okay, I'm a psychic artist too. Like if you're psychic, you can go in all different areas, you know. I'm not just in one area of psychic telepathy and all this sort of stuff. So I'm a psychic artist. So I started painting, really full on painting, massive painting, and I didn't know what I was painting. It's kind of like out of encounters out of the third kind, when he's like overtaken and he's got to make all the clay sculpture, and at the top of he's got to the top of the mountain so the UFO can land on it. It's kind of like that. It was spontaneous, and it actually formed the jellyfish UFO, right, on this massive painting. It was really pretty. I was like, okay, so this week we're doing telepathy with the jellyfish UFO. Total setup, total setup. The Greys set it up because I was talking about technology. And then from that day onward, I was just so, anyway, heavily, what should we call the word? It came on someone's radar because I talked about technology and how they were working with Gov and helping with the jellyfish UFO, kind of they're trying to mix, or they were trying to mix bio physical matter, like biological jellyfish, right, to technology. That was the whole idea, because that's what a lot of UFOs who are off world, they mix that. So it's a biotechnology, so you can telepathically connect to the ship when you're driving it, right? That's the background, right? So then the gray came. You could actually literally see this gray forming in the edge of the screen here, like going like this, and I could see him, and he popped his head in, and then they were jumping through, oh god, the camera. I was taking photos of them, and I was like, well, if you want to help humanity, why don't you tell people, come through me? And he was like, no, no, no. But then I pushed it. I said, come on, let's go, let's do it. It's for the betterment. Oh my god. So then once I got the information through, then they started going back through like clearings that I'd done and undoing them,
Oh,
right? And things like that, right? So they're very, to me, it was not a good experience. Then my channel
sneaky.
got shut down on Instagram. I find them very selfish. And I don't feel like what they say is true, because every time they were talking to me, I felt this falsity. Like there was a falseness. You're not like the other beings that I talk to, the higher sort of higher dimensional galactics that have that nice, more almost angelic, beautiful, open-hearted, unifying energy. It was coming from a place of like their own agenda and very selfish. And that's my experience with them. I know other people have different, but maybe, I don't know. Then there's all different types of greys that we can't say, oh, it's all these greys, because like human beings, I just wanted to say this as a disclaimer, like there's not all good human beings as well. It's like, I was talking to this human being and he was really, really horrible. And he
Right,
did all these
exactly. Yeah,
things.
I get it. But yeah, as a whole, I mean, I
Yeah.
would not subscribe to them, but it's
Yeah.
interesting. We did film something like that jellyfish craft. We took, my husband got pictures of that. We used to see those when we lived in
Right.
Fletcher above our house. We got pictures. My neck just
Yeah.
popped as I said it, remembering that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and look, when you think of the abductions and all the things that Greys have done with the Eisenhower Agreement and all of that, from my experience, I feel that they gave a certain amount of that technology, and I want to actually link it from my experience for what I've experienced in regards to SSP stuff too, because there is a link there. That they came in and they promised technology, right? They said,
Yep.
hey, we want this, and we want, by the way, we want to swap with we want to get your DNA, mix it with our DNA, because you are us in the future, 3,000 years.
Exactly right. Yep.
Bullshit. I just think that's absolute crap. If talking to them, I just realize the falsity of what they say. I wish I'd never ever communicated with them, to be honest, And anyway, so
But I
because
think
there is a link to me as a child, right?
you know
And
what I
other
think why
SSP
you did?
kids taken into the
Because
programs as children, okay? And this is a big one, right? So yes, you can have technology, but the thing is, they didn't tell the government at the time that you can only activate this technology with higher consciousness beings, souls. Okay, do you see the link now?
Yeah, I
So
think
that,
you had the experience to be able to share the experience because
yeah,
this is the agenda right now. This is the agenda they're pushing to
yeah.
accept these guys. That's what I see it is.
Yeah, and don't, and it's no, don't accept them. It's
I
it's
don't. Yeah.
it's they gave the technology, okay, to our government, but they didn't say the clause was that we needed higher souls to activate them. So what did they do? They then had to get another technology to look over the globe and find these children, usually, that were coming in with looking glass technology, that were higher souls that had been in Lemuria as
Yep.
priestesses. I'm talking my story, right?
And
I
to
was a
clone
priest.
their consciousness and steal their eggs and everything else that they do.
Yes, and use, and someone doesn't like me talking about this. I can feel it, right? As I'm talking about this openly, because it needs to come out in the wash, right? They took the kids. I was one of those kids, right, to use the technology, but they needed the consciousness of the soul that had been in a higher elevated dimension, right? So this is why all the kids, the Montauk kids, all the SSP kids, right? So we use the technology. I remember the technology being used on me as a child, right? And I was to telepath, okay, with these different beings, but under a militaristic fashion, right? So it's like we weren't used in the purposes. We should never ethically have been used as children, okay?
No.
First of all, I have to say that it was completely unethical. So no other higher dimensional beings would ever do that. They would ethically, they would say that is incomprehensible, if that's the word, incomprehensible that they could do. It was sacrosanct. You shouldn't use children to use technology, but
But
that's
what
what they
they
had
would
to
say,
resort to. Do you understand? That's what they had to resort to
but that what they
because
would
of the
say is
agreement with
you
Eisenhower.
you were curious. You left your bed. You followed us. Yeah, because I'm a kid and I'm curious and I'm going to
Yeah,
follow, but that's not consenting. That's, and
no,
then the mind wiping that goes with all.
yes. That's right. So, oh, we're doing them a favor. We're going to mind wipe them. It's like, well, I actually would like to know why I've got these memories of all these things happening. Well, why do we have to do it under the cloak of darkness? Why can't everything just be out in the wash? So it's all done in secret, right? So then
Exactly.
you've got these traumatized people who have had these abduction experiences, the hybridization program, us kids that were used for our telepathy on the 20 and back, like there has to be an accountability that comes for that. So a lot of children that were used in the 60s and the 70s, all of us late 70s babies, at the time of the Eisenhower agreement. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that happened in the 50s. And then they're like, well, how are we going to use the technology? It's just like when you introduce like the cane toad. Like there's a cane toad that was introduced in the sugarcane plantations to eat a certain beetle, right? And then they took over completely, like, down the whole coast of Australia, actually, funnily enough, around the 50s and 60s as well, you know? Like we're going to introduce a foreign species now, but then they're completely taking over the place, and we can't get rid of them. They're a plague upon the natural, frogs here and other animals that are now extinct. So, so backward, right? So, how are we going to undo this? How are we going to undo these people on the planet that are being hiding in their own militaristic agenda for our DNA, for our, there's hybrid children, and you think, okay, so maybe it's for the future. So, what is it for? Is it for feeding an off-world population somewhere with
Oh, yeah.
hybridized?
That's the predictive programming with the show The Twilight Zone. There was an episode George
Yeah,
Norrie always talked about on Coast to Coast.
yeah.
He said one of his favorite episodes was called To Serve Man. Man was on the menu.
Oh my God. And we all know that that's out in the, oh my God. Yeah.
Soylent Green is
Oh, it's so
all,
disgusting.
all
Yeah.
all these movies. It's see, we've had disclosure. So what kind of
Yeah.
disclosure is this movie gonna be? I don't know. We've had a lot of disclosure in movies. We're
Yeah.
not gonna get it from the drip that's coming out of those papers. It's a distraction of this war and the Epstein files, I think. I don't think we're gonna get much. It's gonna be drip, drip, drip.
No,
But
disclosure comes from people like you and me talking openly and not being
exactly.
afraid, even though
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had the targeting, I've had the targeting
Yeah.
too. I know that I've overcome many, many trials and tribulations and challenges over that. I'm still here, I'm still alive, which is
Yes.
incredible. And I'm positive you're similar. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You have to take care of yourself. There's times to go dark. I mean, I was
Yeah,
dark during those eclipses. I couldn't do anything. When we had those eclipses in America, I mean, I could only do
yeah,
local events. I was not allowed to speak on air at all.
right. Well, last year I went dark for a whole year, you know.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'd rather speak out and talk about what I'm talking because it's important because whatever happens, even though, I did dance with death a few times last year, I'd rather speak out and say what I need to say than being suppressed any day. Any day. So that's why I went, you know what? I'm not afraid anymore. I'm just going to speak out. And I've had those battles with the dark, you know.
Yeah.
So and the light got me through the galactic light of just blasting it all out there and realizing the galactic light and the power that I've got within myself is surpasses any of these creepy crawlies, really. I think the
Yeah.
greys are creepy crawlies. They're creepy
They
crawlies.
are.
They have,
They're there for entertainment purposes because isn't it interesting that every movie with all these races of beings, why is the mascot for the world when people think of an alien, like on our emojis?
yeah,
Do we have any choices
yeah,
besides a gray alien? Maybe you can
yeah.
upload an AI, you can chat
That's
GPT and say,
right.
I want you to make an alien look like this, but your typical emoji, it's a gray alien. There are no choices.
I know there's no choices but the great. That's really interesting, isn't it? It's so little and small, but that's the only choice. There's only
That's
one alien out
programming.
there.
Yeah.
Totally program. And when you telepath, there's like thousands upon millions of different species of
Yeah.
all shapes and sizes. So when I got a certain book from a certain person, I saw only a certain amount of species in that book. I just threw it across the room. I was like, this is ridiculous. And they're all the beings that are working for that, militaristic Fourth Reich, we could say, agenda
Right.
on this planet. That needs to be shifted. How are we going to shift it? We need to talk about it, right? How are these because it's keeping our planet on a lower vibrations, limiting all of us, hijacking of perspective, the megalithic, corporations that are owning like all the media, all the control, and it does create a lower consciousness on our planet. Whatever they put out there, fear, war, it just lowers our vibration, and then we are under a prison planet, but we need to unshackle. How are we going to do it, Missy? You and me, come on. How are we going to unshackle? That's what we need to talk about, isn't it? Like we know
Right.
what it's all
I
about.
say, I mean, for me, it's like I like to do it through getting out in nature and walking the land. I mean,
Yeah,
for me, that's my way. Is I have to
yeah,
connect with nature
yeah. Same here. That's mine.
and work on the earth grids and breathe
Yes,
with the land and just be with the land. I mean, that's how I have to do it. Is be with the land.
yes. And talking like we're talking and not being
Yeah, and talking like
afraid.
we're talking and kind of like the remote view of the bird's eye view because I kind of see it
Yeah.
all like I'm like when I had that first experience that I'm going to talk about tomorrow when I was in Georgia and I was told to go over the road as a truck driver and I saw the falconer with the falcon on his wrist and how I like became the bird and was looking down on the land like a bird would be.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. I've had that too. It's amazing. And it's how they would journey, like especially in Native American, like you'd see so many circumstances where they're because they're connected. When you realize everything is connected, and you're
Yes,
connected to that falcon. Bang, straight away
exactly.
you're
Yep.
looking over the falcon, if the falcon allows you to, journey with him or her over the land, you know. It's
And
in
that's
it
what we're
'cause
going to have the experience tomorrow. To get your ticket for Summer Days, Gina Virginia Casella starts on the East Coast at 11 o'clock, and it's going to be a full day of music and journeying and all
sounds
different
amazing.
speakers. It's going to be
Yeah.
really amazing. And then the following weekend is going to be, for those the other side of the pond, bases with Miles Johnston. So I know
Yeah,
Anchor
I've
Haven's
heard
going to
that.
that, and
Yeah.
I think Laura Eisenhower is going to be there. Sean Bond. I mean, a lot of people are going to be there. So Chloe, so you
Yeah.
have any Chloe? You have any closing remarks? Anything else you want to share?
We have the power to defeat the occupation of this planet. We all have the power collectively to work together to outsmart the occupation of this planet. I do believe that 100%.
Yes. How can people find you?
Yes, on Facebook it's Chloe Ariell. Or my YouTube is Whimsical Wednesdays with Chloe Ariell. I've got the name underneath here. I'm just trying to get more people on my channel so I can just start telepathing and talking out again, you know,
Do you have any
without
services
fear.
you want to
No.
promote or anything, or they just email
Well, I
you?
do soul session healings, that's shamanic healings. That's what I mostly do, and I do oracle readings as well. So, yeah.
Well, that's great, Chloe. This has been fun. We need to do this
Yeah.
again. I really enjoyed connecting.
Yes.
This has been, yeah.
Yeah, I love connecting to you. I didn't realize you had all the I think I got told before that you do the grid work, and that's great to talk about that, because it's still important, because there is that, we could say, that dark web still underneath the light cosmic web of the good web, even bad web, good web. People are like, "Oh, spiders." Some people are
Right.
funny about
Yeah.
spiders, but it's the only way I can describe it is full cosmic web that's over the planet, and we have to undo all the dark stuff, really, just
Right.
for us.
I kind of
Yeah.
connect with, I feel like I'm, like galactic earth shaman, but mostly paranormal historian, because I've actually also done the boots on the ground tours. Like I used to give a tour
Yeah.
called the Biltmore Village Mystery Tour, which was like the hauntings and historical
Yeah.
things in the area
Wow.
of Western North Carolina, which is really close to Vanderbilt, George Vanderbilt Biltmore Estate. But that tour is no
Yeah.
more because of that hurricane, the devastation of that hurricane. It's wiped
Wow.
out even those stories. So any tulpa or egregore that was created with the ghosts of the land has been removed by a new story that's come in, which is the trauma that recently happened, not the one from, it would be
Right.
110 years ago now, because it was 108 years ago in 2024 when it happened, because these things are repetitive, which also makes me question, have they've been modifying our weather for quite a while. The technology of this that's been doing it has not necessarily been boots on the ground humans. It's been interdimensionals doing it, but now we
Yeah.
also see a human face with it, like we see HARP, or we see some of these CERN, or some of these other. God,
Yeah.
I hope this doesn't get taken off of here, but I don't have enough followers that I even have to worry about saying
It's all
certain
right. You can just put
words.
it onto Rumble if you've got a Rumble channel. Do you have a Rumble
Uh,
channel?
Not, I have not a, I mean, I have an account, but not a
Might be an idea starting that, because some of them will get taken off, you just don't know what you're going to talk about. It could be something really obscure,
You have to
but
be
yeah.
careful with this thing. That's the thing you got to be, mostly the jabby wabby. At
Oh,
least it
yeah, yeah.
was. Yeah, the
That thing.
pandemic stuff, that mess.
Yeah, the transhumanism agenda,
Yeah.
etc. Oops. Yes.
Well, we've enjoyed everybody in the chat. Everybody, thanks for
Are you
stopping
there
by,
still?
Chloe. It's been great. Everybody can find me at Hill, Hill Night, Nite Vision, VISON, Hill Night Vision at gmail.com. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll see some of you tomorrow, and the rest of you, I guess I'll see on Monday for a few shows. Going to have Joshua Shapiro coming up, and also Christy Campbell. And I think Julia Anchorhaven next week.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. That's for right now. It's not, I'm not going to keep that pace up. That's because there's some momentum that I feel there's a strong momentum this week. I don't know what it is. There's some,
Yeah, I keep on
as we're
getting asked on
approaching the
shows.
solstice. This has
It's
something to do with
funny.
the solstice, this summer solstice window coming in.
Yeah, I think it's also counteracting that movie. Do you know what I mean? Us being
Yes,
able to talk
it's
about
that
it because I've been
movie.
asked to go on like 3 different shows, and I'm like, I'm just, yeah, talking about what I know, my experiences with the Greys, and because there's not a lot of people talk about it, and not a lot of people have the experience of it. You know what I mean? So it's important. Yeah.
Okay, everybody. See you on the next one. And Chloe, you can stay on for a minute.
All right. See ya.
Well, that was fun. I don't know if they still hear us, but thanks so much. I really appreciate it. We'll do it again.
Yeah. That was good. I liked connecting to Esmeralda. It's funny when I was talking, and then she's like, "Hey, I haven't finished the conversation." I'm like, "Hang on, pause. Got to come back to Esmeralda because does that